But we'll get the normal.
It's hard.
I'm ready when you guys are.
Our first speaker is using the facility.
Is everybody here, Tina?
Yes, we're just waiting for our first presentation. She just.
Can the Housing Authority give their update before the Bike Works people go, or do you want to wait?
She should be in within a minute.
Okay. Yep, I will. Calling to order the Economic Development Committee meeting, October 5th. Is there any courtesy of the floor? Seeing none, and we're going to be waiting for the presentation from Community Bike Works.
Oh, good. So it all works out. There's so much traffic out there that, just trying to get.
What? Did you come down 22?
No, I didn't.
I was thinking about whether to torture you.
Oh, geez.
Had multiple accidents on 22.
Hey there. How are you? It's nice to see
Here's
you.
22 and 33.
I thought I missed you. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Going well.
You ready? Okay.
We're ready. So Kim Schaefer is the Executive Director of Community Bike Works. She actually rode her bike here today. No, I'm just kidding.
I took the bus. And the bike would have been faster today because of all the traffic. But
Gotta promote the program. But without further ado, Kim, we're ready for you. We've got everything up and you can
thank you
just
so much for doing that.
scroll.
Okay, excellent. I have some handouts when I'm done. Oh, okay. Excellent. Well, thank you everyone so much for having me here today. It is my pleasure to be here. I may have said this to Tina, but I used to work for DCED, and so the last time I presented to this committee, it was on bathroom upgrades in the Walnutport parks. So this is a little change of pace, but I'm really happy to be here and tell you about all the exciting things that we are doing at Community Bike Works Easton. Just for the briefest of backgrounds, again, my name is Kim Schaefer. I've been the Executive Director of Community Bike Works since 2012. And just have been really happy to be able to grow and expand our wonderful program in the ways that we have. I'm also very fortunate to be a Northampton County representative to LANTA, and that's been very, very meaningful to me. So I really appreciate that opportunity. And as I said, I used to be a Northampton County employee, so really happy to be here. Community Bike Works has been around since 1995. We were an Allentown-based organization for many years. And in 2021, the city of Easton invited us to consider expanding to Easton, which we were really happy to consider and figure out how to do. And by June of 2021, we had our plan and we made it come together. And so we have been in Easton since for just over 2 years. We just started our third year. We've had a lot of support from Northampton County along the way, which I will mention. And again, it's just been really an incredible experience to be here. So Community Bike Works teaches life lessons through bicycles. We are a youth mentoring organization. We use bikes and books to get kids in the door and connected to adult mentors. And then we connect with them. Tina, I had my notes on the back of the very first handout. Oh. I'm just realizing that. Sorry about that. Does anybody have my notes? Sorry. I was planning to be here earlier. I'm more prepared. I apologize. No, okay. I know what I'm going to say. We'll figure it out. Our flagship program is called Earn a Bike. Kids come in, they pick out the bike that they want to work on, and then they spend 1 month, 24 hours of lessons learning how to ride their bike safely and fix every component of their bicycle. And so at the end of their month-long class, they have a brand new bicycle. They know how to ride it safely on the streets of Easton or wherever they might be. They know how to fix their bicycle should something go wrong. And along the way, we know, because students tell us, that they learn other skills. So life skills, including teamwork, communication, perseverance, all of those types of things. You're not going to learn to fix your brakes the very first time you try, but you will get it if you keep trying. Once students are engaged in Earn a Bike, we encourage them to continue with us for our range of programs. So we have a drop-in program. We have a ton of cycling programs, which is really going strong in Easton. And then we have youth leadership programs for our students. So as I said, we started in Easton in June of 21. Just to give you some idea, we had 111 students come through our program in our first year. 97% of them completed the program. That is well above our expectations. So Easton students are really on top of things. The second year, we did make a couple of changes to our program. Across the board, not just in Easton, but in some ways because of the success and the lessons that we learned from expanding to Easton. So we do now a couple of fewer classes per year. And to have more outside of class time to engage with students. So we are now on track to engage about 100 students every year, again, in our flagship Earn a Bike program. And bike mentoring matters. So again, we are about more than just teaching kids how to fix bikes. We help to teach them STEAM skills, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. You know, throw reading in there also and make it STREAM skills, but students are learning through hands-on mechanics how to fix every part of the bicycle. So they're learning mechanics skills, they're learning how to read manuals, they're learning life skills. Again, 97% of students said they because they came to Earn a Bike, they learned that it's possible for them to do things they didn't think they could do. So they gain that sense of confidence. We just had a student tell us the other day that because she came through Earn a Bike, she learned how to problem solve, and she was able to take that into her math class and her language arts class, she said, and use that to think differently and solve problems in a way that she didn't think she could do before, and she directly attributed that to Earn a Bike. So again, STEAM skills, hands-on learning, life skills, and then bikes are good for kids. So physical and mental health, which we'll talk about in a minute, is very important. 88% of our kids say that they spend more time being physically active once they go through Earn a Bike. So they get their bikes and then they ride them. Layla is one of our first Earn a Bike students in Easton, and what she told us was that by the end of Earn a Bike, I had made new friends and was talking to my instructors with more assurance than I ever had. I began to live, opening up to new experiences and people. I surprised even myself because I matured so greatly. And, you know, when I went to Layla and said, is this overselling it? Do you really, you know, and she said, no, I absolutely, Earn a Bike changed my life. And again, it was just really wonderful to hear her say that. About 30% of our students return and stay engaged with us over the long term. Again, we have additional programs for them to do that. So on Mondays and Fridays, we have set aside for that in-depth mentoring time with students, things that they're interested in, and I'll show you a really cool example of that in a moment. Our kids in Easton ride bikes all the time with our BikeWorks instructors. You know, with the adults, they use the trails that are here. They just learn to ride safely, learn to ride in groups. and be, safe and respectful riders. Just in the past 3 months, our Easton students rode 808 miles. So just really some incredible getting kids out, getting them fresh air. And then we have a youth leadership, including a youth advisory council, so students can help give input into their organization. So we do ask students, what do they want to do? When they come to BikeWorks, if beyond bikes. And so this is Layla, who we talked about earlier. She started a band called James and the Bicycles, and they made their debut at Porch Fest last weekend. So I did ride my bike there to see them play. They did an amazing job. If you ever get a chance to hear James and the Bicycles, their core song is, their key song is Hotel California, so not to be missed. It went on, yes. It was awesome. It was awesome. They did a great job. And then they got clapped for an encore, and Layla had to say, "I'm sorry, that's all the songs we know." So it was really cute. This is Yatsael. He's one of our older teen students. We are actually hiring him starting next week. So he's what we call a youth apprentice. So we give students their first jobs. He'll get a paycheck, he will be on our staff, and he'll learn what it means to, have to show up on time, to call out if you're sick, what a paycheck looks like, all of those types of things, and he'll learn through teaching as well. So he'll continue to build his mechanic skills, but also his teaching skills as he interacts with younger students. And Yatsael is part of the Bike Life students, that riders that you may see around Easton sometimes. So, we've been working really hard to engage with those kids and bring them into a safe environment. And when you ride with BikeWorks, you always have to ride with a helmet. So this is Yatsael riding, trying the track at the velodrome one afternoon. So Easton kids get to go and ride different places around the Lehigh Valley. And why do we do all of this? At the end of the day, there is a teen mental health crisis, as I'm sure many of you are aware. Certainly, teens have had their struggles for some time. It certainly has gotten worse since the pandemic. And as recently as February of 2023, the CDC finds that teen mental health is at crisis levels. And the one thing that they recommend, or that they say, is needed, is that family schools and community organizations like Community BikeWorks play a critical protective role. So at the end of the day, we do all these things, engage kids in programs, teach them different skills. At the end of the day, it really is about building those relationships with mentors, those protective relationships. Here's another quote from Ralph. I won't read this one out loud, but he just likes being at BikeWorks, whether it's on bikes or doing other things. He is a positive influence on younger kids, and he feels happiness when he talks about BikeWorks. So Ralph is another Easton student who has been with us for more than 2 years now. This is Layla again on one of the longer rides that they do. And the reason I bring her up again is to say that last year, for the first time, Community BikeWorks held elections from among all of our students to our Youth Advisory Council. So we rewrote our bylaws in 2022. And one of the main outcomes was specifically to create a Youth Advisory Council. We now have 5 students on that council. Every month they meet before our board meeting, learn about everything that's on the board agenda, weigh in with their opinion, and help think through some of those, decisions that the board will have to make. So they're learning about nonprofit governance, being citizens, giving back, all of those types of leadership skills. One of the reasons that I wanted to come and connect with you all today, again, we are very grateful for all the ways that Northampton County has facilitated our expansion into Easton, through the Grow Norco grant in particular. We've also appreciate that you help us access our Easton CDBG funding. So we work with Tina's staff quite a lot in a number of different ways. And then we have three new and we think really exciting things that are coming down the pike that I wanted to make sure you were aware of. So the first is that we did receive with GEDP, so Jared and Greater Easton Development Partnership are the lead on this project. We did receive state violence prevention funding through PCCD. Again, it's a $1 million project, and GEDP is the lead on that project. But it does that project does allow Community Bike Works to completely separate from the current Earn a Bike programs that we have been engaging students in before. This allows us to do more in-depth bike mentoring, specifically with Easton ninth graders who are at risk of violence, either being victims of violence or perpetrating violence. So instead of a 24-hour Earn a Bike class, students are going to get 40 hours right up front, and then they will automatically be connected to our mentors for as long as, for the 29 months of our program. So it'll be a continuous process of adding students to that program. It is, we will be able to hire more teens as a result of that, give more people, young people their first jobs. And we are just really excited to get started. We should be kicking things off on October 16th, so right around the corner. Again, we work very closely with GEDP. We're really excited to get that going. And then the other exciting thing that I finally have some good news to report on, some of you may have joined us for the press conferences that we have had over the previous years with some of our federal elected officials. Community Bike Works was very honored to receive community project funding through our Congresswoman to be able to move into new spaces. So in Easton, we do not have space yet. We are in temporary to Rivers Health and Wellness Foundation space, which we're super fortunate and thankful to them for allowing us to have, but we will be moving into a GEDP-owned building at 921 Spruce Street. And we got funding approval through Congress for that back in 2021, and then there were some delays. So there was a technical fix that needed to happen. We were one of 15 organizations across the country that needed a technical fix. And the project was written in the Congressional Record as Community Bike Works Easton, and it needed to be written in the Congressional Record as Community Bike Works Allentown and Easton. And so we waited a year. We waited a year. Yeah, so we just yesterday got an email from HUD saying that our grant was being approved to move forward. So we, Frank here has been very helpful with helping us to do an environmental review. And, again, it's GEDP owns the building. But we're really excited for, once we have our own space for our students, it's going to be absolutely a game changer for what we're able to do here in Easton. 921 Spruce, yeah, and we'll
I'm
definitely.
drawing a blank on Spruce Street, and I'm born and raised here in East.
Oh, it's just off of Lehigh. Is it one off of Lehigh? Is that? It's like right over there. Yeah, it's very close. It's very close. Yeah, it's in the West Ward. Yeah, I think it's one up from Lehigh. But we will definitely have you out to see it, I hope, very, very soon. And then our third piece of good news, and we have just submitted a hotel tax grant for this, is that Community Bike Works was chosen from among all of the, so there are other Earn a Bike programs across the country. We are all independent. We don't have an umbrella organization, but we do get together every year as part of the National Youth Bike Summit. So there was a 2022 Youth Bike Summit in Atlanta, Georgia. Our teen apprentices and teen leaders went to that and did an amazing job of representing Community Bike Works, and they did such a wonderful job representing us and the Lehigh Valley that Community Bike Works was chosen among all of the programs that we're there to host the 2024 National Youth Bike Summit. So our teens have brought this national conference to the Lehigh Valley and Northampton County, and it's going to be amazing. So we are expecting about 400 young people and adults from across the country to come to the Lehigh Valley. We will, have plenary sessions, we will have workshops, we will have plenty of rides. So we will be taking people on the DNL, DCNR, and our friends at Jacobsburg are sponsors at the $10,000 level of this project. So, kids will get the opportunity to go to Jacobsburg. It's just really going to be a fantastic weekend of bringing young people together and showcasing everything that we have here in the Lehigh Valley. Yeah, so that is the news that I wanted to share, and I'm happy to entertain any questions. Right, yes. So we have, Community Bike Works has 3 bike shops. We have one in Franklin Park in Allentown, we have one in Keck Park in Allentown, and then we have Easton. But we are able, through the United Way of the Greater Lehigh Valley, we are able to work in Bethlehem schools. So on any given afternoon, we will have classes being taught at our, 2 Allentown bike shops, at our Easton bike shop. Then we'll have a junior Earn a Bike team that's in the schools, and we'll have an in-school team, an Earn a Bike team that's in the schools.
Oh, great.
So at any given afternoon, there are 5 sessions of Earn a Bike that are happening, and kids learning and engaging. So that means, so I told you the 100 students in Easton, we engage about 600 students each year, around 580 at this point, in our Earn a Bike and Junior Earn a Bike programs together, and that does make us one of the largest and longest standing Earn a Bike organizations in the country.
And how many employees do you have?
We have 13. So
13 people do.
we are a very small staff. We are a very small staff, yeah.
No, it's just interesting.
yeah.
Because if you serve 580 people and you go to all these schools,
Yeah.
I mean, there's only 13 of you.
And I should have written down the latest number before I came, but I believe 6 of our 13 employees are people who have gone through the Earn a Bike program. Or are family members of Earn a Bike students. So it is really important to us that we, hire people who have come through our programs, and they are the folks who are our best mentors and can really make a difference.
So are there opportunities outside this to be a mentor? That's more like a volunteer position?
We do have some volunteer positions. So Muhlenberg, Cedar Crest, DeSales are huge volunteer. They do a lot of drop-in our Monday and Friday activities with us. And then anyone who is welcome to is, we accept volunteers throughout the community. You don't have to know how to fix a bike to work with us as a volunteer. We teach you, the kids will teach you everything that you need to know. And it really is a wonderful experience. You get to see that light bulb that goes on when kids get it. And, they like, oh, I just changed my tire. I just took apart a hub, and it's really incredible. Yeah, it's really incredible.
Thank you. Any
Yeah.
questions?
How do you, is there any, well, thank you for what you did first, and it's a nice program, so.
Thank you.
Just wondering, because I think we donated some of the grandkids' bikes. Is that the way you get all your bikes?
That's the way we get all of our bikes, yes.
Ever have issue, we donate, but do you have enough bikes, or is that ever an issue?
From time to time, it will be an issue, but it hasn't been recently. Our community members are just so generous, and people, know about what we do at this point that they just drop them off.
I think that's the key. You're
Yeah.
well-known enough in the Lehigh Valley, like when we're trying to figure out.
You're right.
Bikes, oh, bike work, so, and then we just looked it up and went to Bethlehem. So I was just kind of curious if, I think there was a place my wife dropped them in Bethlehem.
Probably Keck Park. It's right on the border of Allentown and Bethlehem. And it really is something nice that we can offer the community, because, people have these old bikes in their basement or their garage. They don't know what to do with them. And rather than put them out for the trash, we take any bike in any condition. They come into our programs, the kids scrap them. So you learn about bikes by taking them apart just as much as so they take off the good parts. In some cases, the bikes are beautiful. We can, just get them right into Earn a Bike. And in some cases, they need some things taken off and.
And then they learn about scrapping at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. So, and the program like us in New York is called Recycle a Bicycle, so like it really leans into all of that. The one thing that I should say is, as you bring up, East Allentown and recycling is that as of 2022, and this is on the one pager that I handed out, Community Bike Works at our East Allentown location does run a food pantry. So the City of Allentown and Second Harvest came to us in the spring of 2022 and asked if we would take over the food pantry that had been co-located with our programs in East Allentown. The organization that had run it was not able to do that anymore. And so, we gave it some thought to make sure that we could fit it into our mission. And it has turned out to be a really, really incredible thing. So there are a lot of East Allentown and Lehigh County folks who come to the pantry, but we also have a good number, and we'll have better data over the coming months. But there is a good number of Northampton County folks who come to our East Side Food Pantry, either from Bethlehem or from other places in Northampton County. So before we took over, about 50 families a month were getting food out of the pantry. This past month, it was over 400 families. We've been averaging about 350 families a month. So we've really grown the food pantry. As Edwin, one of our students, said, you can't ride a bike if you're hungry. So it has allowed us, to make sure, and that's one of Second Harvest's goals, is to have their pantries located in organizations that already have the trust of residents. But it's also allowed us to, so our Easton kids have come over and worked in the garden that we have in East Allentown, so they're learning those types of skills. And then some of our East Allentown kids are volunteers in the pantry, so they're learning service learning, community give back. And so we've really done a lot of work to integrate it into our program, into our youth programs in a way that's been very rewarding.
Super awesome.
Yeah. And we're about to start a compost pile that I am voting we call Community Bike Worms. So we'll see if that happens, right?
Is that at the food bank?
The compost will be outside the food pantry.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, in our gardens.
Where do you get most of your donations for your food pantry?
That is something that we are working on now. So we are very fortunate that, so the pantry, we are a $1.5 million organization. The pantry is $80,000 a year. We are very fortunate that the United Way and the City of Allentown through CDBG funding, have made some of a commitment to the pantry, and we are out in the community right now trying to raise some grassroots support. So our pantry team is working on that.
Because you have, ShopRite has a hub throughout the red, and they're very huge when it comes to donations, so you might want to reach out to Wakefern Corporation and see what they can do for you.
That's fantastic. Yeah, thank you.
I spent 23 years with them, so you can check it out.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Maybe I'll be in touch with you about that. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm very excited about all the things we have coming up in Easton with the VIP project. The new Spruce Street building, I think, will really allow us to be centered in the West Ward community. And I hope you will all come to the Youth Bike Summit. I hope Northampton County will be a proud sponsor of that. And then the best part of the Youth Bike Summit is on Sunday before everyone leaves town. Everyone goes on a group bike ride together to see the highlights of the host community. So that should be a really good time, and I'll hope to see you all there. Yeah. Any other questions? No. Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, great. Thank you, Kim. All right, up next, we have the update from Northampton County Housing Authority.
Okay, do not need a PowerPoint for this one. but we have with us this evening Gwen Didden. I think most of you are familiar with who she is as our Northampton County Housing Authority president, and she is doing a fabulous job with our housing authority and its properties, but she's here today to tell you about the Northampton County Housing Development Corporation that her board has charged her with reviving. Gwen?
Hello again to everybody. It's been a year and 2 months, but who's
Really?
counting? Yes. August 1st was our first year, so we're moving forward. Really getting a chance to, we see a lot of difference in our buildings, a lot of difference with the tenants, and moving forward, onward, upward, all that stuff. So I'm here to talk a little bit about a resurrection, not the resurrection, but a resurrection of this Northampton County Housing Development Corporation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit arm of the Housing Authority. Actually was registered June 16th, 1996. Howard Jones signed off on it. I believe he was the director at the time. And we have, I believe it has started getting some traction, and then with all the changes that has happened with the Housing Authority, it sort of went dormant for a while. Berks County has a housing development arm called Berks Housing Opportunities. We sort of had the same situation. We've revived it. 8 years later, we now own properties. We're renting to, with low to moderate income opportunities for people, and being able to make a difference through the building of that capacity. And when the board at the Northampton County Housing Authority realized we had this, they thought this is a perfect time to start getting back into reviving the development corp, so we can build capacity to be able to provide more low to moderate income housing opportunities that come in. Also be that advocate to, as developers come in, to say, can you partner with us to maybe earmark some of your units for low to moderate income housing? So why it's relevant to you all is in the bylaws, we are to have 5 board members. 1 is to be me, the executive director. 3 were appointed by my board at the Housing Authority, and 1 comes from the county, which is great because we have a liaison. And just letting you know that this is the heart of the board now to move forward, and I'm sure you'll pick well whoever is going to be potentially asked to be on this board. And we would really like to be able to make a difference and have those housing opportunities that are from this county, not necessarily bleeding over from other counties, but built in our own county by our own people. So that's about it. It's not, I always follow these great people, that have such exciting, missions. And I don't do PowerPoints because I read that whole book about death by PowerPoint, and every time I try PowerPoint, it screws up. So you just get me. So, and I know, that's just sort of a thumbnail. I don't have a whole lot to report because we certainly haven't had our first meeting yet because we're waiting here for the input of who's going to be appointed. But we'd like to get started as soon as that happens. So are there any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
So at what point in time, you said that this corporation was registered in 1996. When did Northampton transfer the housing to Lehigh County?
I believe that was 2014.
2014.
No, there was some activity. The last evidence I saw was in 2016. However, we did do our due diligence. It is still an active nonprofit registered with the state. There shouldn't be too much we need to do to get ramped
Revive
back
it.
up. Yeah.
And what kind of budget are you going to require for that? Or would you require something from the county, like an assist, or would you have some other source of funding?
I would recommend to start, I would recommend to my board that we, as the Housing Authority, seed some funds into it to get things started. And then that will be up to the board and the goals that we have to see, do we need help? Do we need assistance? We found a developer that's saying they'll give us 15 units, but we need to be able to be that nonprofit developer for them. What I found in Berks, we were able to walk alongside programs that, and housing development that wanted to come in but needed a nonprofit developer to walk alongside them. So let me tell you, for example, about 20 years ago, Phoebe Burks came in. They wanted to do some senior housing. They needed a nonprofit developer. Burks Housing Opportunities was that nonprofit developer. The note came due, and we now receive about $4,000 a month from Phoebe to pay that note back. That helps build capacity that we can do more housing now in the community. So there's perks with having that 501c3 nonprofit developer that can help get funding for other projects that don't have the nonprofit arm or status for that particular project. We can be that, charge a development fee and build capacity. That creates program income that we can start building, in the
So
community.
then, like, we have that one housing project that is going up in Wilson, right? And that was CALV that assisted with that. Would you act in a similar role then?
Exactly. We
Okay.
could do that.
Just to clarify.
Yes.
So. I believe that's more than a proposal. I think those 5 homes in Wilson that are going in, I believe that they're getting grant funding for that.
You mean Glendon?
I mean Glendon. Well, Glendon, okay, yes. You're true. Glendon, sorry. I should know that road very well, actually. I lived on it for a very short period of time. Yeah. Where the Glendon Hotel is. So, Thank you. Where the Sprite sign no longer exists. Just keep it coming, okay, Carrie? I got you. So, in that case, there was funding that was put up with that to subsidize it, to allow people to purchase the homes. Would that be something you could do through HUD, or would it always have to be in HUD control so that you're the property managers?
So the beauty of this development corp is it's free from HUD. So we don't have the HUD restrictions. This is a nonprofit arm of the Housing Authority. So we would be the parents, the overseers, but it is a separate entity. So we wouldn't have those same restrictions. We would be free to be able to partner in other ways that we were restricted as a housing authority to do.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah. The other option is eventually, one of the things we did in Berks is our housing opportunities also went for CHODO status, the Community Housing Development Organization that's needed in every community. And we do CHODO activities for the county. We're the only CHODO in the county. So we are called upon to help with those things as well. And that brings some funding with it. So, it's also brought some housing along with it. So that's a possibility if that's where this board would see themselves going, to be able to offer that assistance as well. We'd have to grow a little bit because you need at least 9 members for CHODO, but.
And so what were the members again that you're requesting? One from council?
One from the county.
The county.
Yeah. 3 came from the Housing Authority Board, voted on their 3, and then the 5th one is the Executive Director of the Housing Authority. So currently, that's me.
That's you, yeah. So one person nominated from the county at large. It didn't have to be a council member.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
Doesn't disqualify, I don't think, but it doesn't have to
Right,
be.
so it doesn't have to be, but it doesn't not have to be.
Correct.
Would you want a liaison from the county council? Like, we have liaisons to like the PROSAB, the Parks Recreation, Open Space Advisory Council, or to the Airport Authority, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that at this point, it's not within the bylaws that it's necessary, but certainly I would be happy to have any conversation with that liaison as we're moving forward. I think right now, we're just kind of building
trying
that
to grow.
capacity and
Gotcha.
where do we see ourselves? And quite frankly, we need to do a little bit of reverse engineering to find out, what has this Housing Development Corp done in the past? So there might be funds on the table that can come back into this Development Corp. So there's a lot of research to do because I don't have the institutional memory, but I think with a great board to be able to move forward, we're going to find the things we need.
Okay, great. Yeah, literally from the ground up, right? Gotcha. Okay. Mr. Myers.
Do you have Section 8 people in our housing?
Do I have Section 8 people where?
In our housing, in Northampton County housing?
So we have 2 public housing units.
Right.
They aren't Section 8, they're public housing.
Okay.
And then we have about 600, I think it's around 600 or 616, I think was the last I checked, of vouchers, what we call in the street, partnering with private landlords. We can go up to over 800, but currently, right now, we're at about 616. So they're not in our public housing because that's a different funding stream. However, as a development corp, if we have housing, we can offer that to our HCV tenants who are searching for what I call sympathetic landlords.
I just want your insight on that and see how you feel
Sure,
about that.
sure.
Mr. Gofredo.
Is that 616 number pretty much on par with what you guys see? Or has that gone up since pandemic?
Well, I'll tell you what's gone up since I'll tell you what's gone up since what is, I guess, the recession we're in. I just read the other day that a family of 4 needs an extra $243 a week to pay for the groceries, the services, everything else that at the same time last year. So when I read that, it made sense why I leave so tired some days, because our phone rings constantly
Yeah.
with people that from this county that are saying, I've never had to ask for help. This is humbling, but we either have to get food or we need a place, affordable place to stay. So it is heart-wrenching to hear that. I think at this point, this is so timely because I think we need to be able to provide those, what I call workforce housing, affordable housing, whatever you want to call it, options for these people that are calling out that never ever saw themselves in this situation before.
Thank you.
With the Housing Authority, because of the restrictions through HUD, there's a wait list process, and there's all these, but this, all we need to do is build capacity, and we don't have to follow necessarily those rules.
Jump through those hoops.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But now that you bring that up, the last time you were here, you talked about that wait list issue, and you talked about ways that you could alleviate that. Have you done that?
We have.
Great.
We've purged the wait list, we've revamped. We're actually working on our annual plan right now to submit with HUD. That needs to be submitted by just December 15th. We are unlocking a lot in that annual plan. So, for example, in the past, the annual plan only talked about using regular HCV vouchers. Well, vouchers can be used for many things. It can be used for home ownership to help with mortgage payments. We can use them, we can apply for veterans vouchers. There's so much we can do that has not been expanded on. So I'm going to propose to the board that we throw everything at the wall and let's get working on these options.
Oh, that's pretty
Right.
cool.
So we're looking at, VASH housing, veteran housing. We're looking at how we define housing. So in the past, maybe a mobile home or a single room occupancy wouldn't have qualified with our HCV. We're unlocking every possibility right now to give people opportunity to utilize these vouchers, those that, honestly, they're kind of the lucky ones that get them because
Yeah.
I have maybe 200 vouchers on the table to be able to use creatively, and I have a 2,800
Sure
name
do.
waiting list. So the last time we did a briefing, we call briefing when we're giving their vouchers, one of the voucher holders said, I feel like I just won the lottery.
Yeah, it's like.
And they did. And now, but that's only half the battle, because now they have to find a landlord that will rent to them. So that's the other
So
issue.
you only get so many vouchers, and how is that determined? Do you increase that with like population density or?
Occasionally, so we did just get
Oh, census?
6 more vouchers. They gave us 6, the HUD just gave us the capacity for 6 more vouchers, so we'll take it.
course.
They give a sort of a finite amount of vouchers. Now, just to be in perspective, Easton Housing Authority administers, I think their top is like 274. So countywide, we have a lot more to be able to give out.
Okay.
But again, you need the landlords that are willing to partner with the
Sure.
program.
And what's the biggest barrier to finding a landlord that's willing to partner?
So I think there's a lot of myths out there about,
Stigma.
HCV. First of all, a lot I hear is, oh, well, it's federal funds. You're going to tell me how I need to keep my units. You're going to come in and you're going to do these inspections and you're going to make me do all this work. Actually, they're very minimal. Very minimal, and I say to landlords, wouldn't you want to have your properties up to code? So most landlords are, amenable to that when they understand it's not that oppressive. The other thing they say is they've heard horror stories of the people that, tenants that have been rented, have used Section 8. My comeback to that is, number one, once upon a time, I was that single mom with Section 8, okay? So we're not all bad. Second, I say to them, I think for the most part, 99% of the people that have HCV vouchers are actually going to be better tenants because they have more to lose. There's always going to be some, but they would probably have been bad tenants with or without Section 8.
Right.
So you have to screen the way you screen and run your business.
Right.
But we'll walk alongside. We're actually in talks with hiring a landlord liaison, which will be somebody in our office that will go out and educate the landlords and walk alongside and help the tenants to market themselves and be appealing and make this program work.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Any other questions? You good? Just checking.
Good.
Well,
Okay.
thank you so much for all you
Yes,
do. I'm
absolutely.
really impressed with how far we've come on this. It's just leaps and bounds from where we were. And
And I have to say, it's the appetite, the political will, your leadership here who has, given me the opportunity to say, go for it, let's do this. And I understand the assignment, and we're going to continue on, and we cannot lose this asset in this community because you'll never get it back.
Right.
So I say, let's just keep building.
yeah, I'm all about it. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much.
All right. Well, is there, you got nothing, right? Okay. Well, I guess we're going to adjourn the meeting then, right? Okay, thanks, everybody, for coming. Thank you. This is very funny.
Glad you have to take the bus to get back home.